Okay, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to Equine Episode Examination, where today we will be discussing Dungeons and Discords, this past weekend's new MLP episode of Season 6. So welcome to the show, everyone. If this is your first time joining or watching us on a recording, we record these things live. Every week here at CinemaQuestria, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Pretty much what we're just going to do is we're just going to go through and discuss this past weekend's new episode, again, Dungeons and Discords, kind of give our overall opinions on it and kind of our initial thoughts on the episode are, and we'll start out a little more broad and work out into more specifics of the episode as we go along. So, I am Rain Shadow here, and I'm joined in the discussion here by a couple people.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Mr. Ben.
This is Jay Smith.
As per normal, and of course, everyone here in chat, and hopefully a few more will join us as we go along. Of course, welcome to participate in the discussion and bring up discussion points and la-di-da, all that fun stuff. We should just dive right into the episode here. So, first off, Dungeons and Discords, what are everyone's initial thoughts?
I'm a little surprised that they actually did a Dungeons and Dragons type episode. I'm not complaining, mind you. I kind of wish we had a little bit more of the actual Dungeons and Dragons adventure, but can't complain too loud.
Not just a Dungeon and Dragons episode in the show, but an episode that was pretty much all guys. There was all the three main characters of the episode were male, which is something I don't really think we've had before in the show before in terms of an episode focusing solely on the male characters, without really any female characters with a major part throughout the episode. So that's also kind of a little departure from the series norms as well.
We could have potentially may have had I think we may have had some missed opportunities. Because there are other male characters such as like Cranky Doodle, Pipsqueak, hell, even Angel Bunny might have been able to have gotten in on the shenanigans on this. And being them not being part of Guys Night might have been a slight bit of a missed opportunity. But considering how Cranky's married, Pipsqueak's just like a little kid, and Angel is just a bunny, I really don't know how they would have really been gotten too involved in this particular situation.
Yeah, without getting too far ahead of ourselves in the discussion, I really don't think there's many other characters in the show that would have fit really well in terms of what who they used in terms of the characters' availabilities and perceived interests. But I really enjoyed this episode. It was really funny episode. Definitely a different kind of episode, but still very much a Discord episode, just like all of his, and very much focused on Discord. Which I like, which we'll get into when we get to the character discussion. So. So let's just dive in and discuss the story and the writing of the episode. This episode is written by Nick Cofalone, his second episode of the season. This is his second season writing it. He previously wrote I forget the name of it, the Saddle River Review. This season, that kind of little weirdly laid out episode earlier this season. Involving Rarity and the rest of the main six. And then last season, he previously had wrote the not the Griffinstone episode, the Yak episode last season, as well as Hearthbreakers. I'll say that just after watching this episode, I really, and the previous one that he wrote this season, I really think he is the best comedy writer that the show has had in its 6 seasons. He really can write a good comedy episode, and he really wrote a really good Discord episode here as well, and I do think he's like the best in terms of comedy episodes just the best writer for those that we've had. And he's only here. This is only his second season. His fourth episode, I think. So it's pretty good. But yeah, this episode was just very great on the comedy, and Saddle Row Review earlier in the season, that was just another hilarious episode with some really, really funny moments as well. I didn't hear anything about it being his last episode of the show.
Really? That's news to me. I didn't know of anything of
what?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about this being like Nick's last show.
I thought he said he wrote 3 episodes this season.
Here he is on that. I don't see anything on his Twitter about it.
Anyway, before you get distracted by that, let me see what else I had written down in my notes here. I realized this episode had a lot of good continuity in it as well. So it has right in the beginning, we have all of the main 6 leaving for Yakistan for a summit there with Princess Celestia, which is a nice continuity nod to his first episode, the Yakistan episode last season that Nick worked on. So that's kind of used as the reason to get the main 6 out of the picture, and why Spike and Big Mac are having their little guys night. I mean, I know he's working on other projects, but writers work on multiple shows at one. I mean, they're all freelance writers. They're not staff writers on the show. So what else about the story and the writing here?
To see, I kind of can't help but just laugh at the fact that Starlight Glimmer is absent for yet a 3rd time this season. Now, I understand, she's probably busy studying magic and friendship, and she's not able to bid Starlight, Twilight to her trip to Yakistan. Personally, I'm kind of, my head canon here is that she's probably just up in the north, the Crystal Empire, just messing around with Sunburst or something. But considering that, so she's supposed to be living in the castle with with the Twilight, it kind of makes me wonder a little bit why she's not investigating the shenanigans that Discord and Spike and Big Mac are up to. Just a little bit of a plot hole I can't help but notice, and I'm like I said, I'm just assuming that she's just off somewhere else in Equestria. That
Well, it's not really a plot hole because they already explained at the first episode, like I've said previously, they've already explained in the first episode of the season why she's not always going to be around. It's because Twilight is letting her go out and do stuff on her own in terms of making friendships. Like she went out on her own and found, made friends with Trixie, and etc. So anytime she's not in an episode, it's not like, where is she? I mean, we already know where she is. She's out there doing stuff on her own and having her own experiences, just like Twilight did from Princess Celestia. So people always keep jumping on that in terms of, where's Starlight, which is I find hilarious, being that everyone hated her at the end of last season. But really, I mean, she's not going to be in every episode.
I don't specifically. I'm going to look this up here because I specifically do not recall that the actual season episode specifically in the transcript that she said she was not actually going to be at the castle or anything like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'll roll with that.
Well, it's at the end of the season 1 episode. That the whole point of the end of that episode, the season premiere, I should say, the season premiere this season, was Twilight just discovering that I don't need to be this over the shoulder mentor. When Spike told Twilight, isn't that the way that Celestia taught you, by letting you go out and do your own stuff and learn on your own while giving you guidance? And that's pretty much what she decided to do with Starlight. Was she isn't going to necessarily be around her all the time or have Starlight be around them all the time. It's just going to be, she's going to be out doing her own things, which freed them this season from having to shove her in or shoehorn her in to every single episode, even if it wouldn't have made a difference if she was there or not.
Oh, whatever. Let's just keep going. Moving on, so about the story about that here. And I've noticed that Rain Shadow strangely gone quiet.
No, I'm here. I'm trying to find my notes on my computer.
Okay.
I mean, anyone else feel free to say anything.
I really can't think of much of else to really say, to be honest.
There's a lot of other good callbacks in the episode, such as Discord kind of joking about throwing ponies into a hedge maze and turning them against each other as well as a good pastime for him, which I like that.
Fuck! I just thought forgive me. I just. Have you ever had it to where you wanted to say something and your train of thought just suddenly derails itself?
All the time.
Yeah, that's basically what just happened to me. I'm sure it will come back. Oh yes. Now I know about it. I wanted to mention this before someone else pointed this out, but I noticed that this. Let me just pull this up here. I know right here. There was a picture I found like this here, and I remember seeing some comments about how people are like, well, wait a minute, he mentioned this in the comics and now he's acting all this in the show. And I believe we even mentioned this ourselves in an earlier episode that show canon does not equal the comic canon. The comics are just supplementary to the show itself. And I'm like, okay. The show and the comics don't necessarily need to follow one another. I mean, the comics could go off and do their own little thing, and the show doesn't necessarily have to follow that. So,
yeah, I mean, I think kind of how it is the comics try to follow the show the best they can, knowing not necessarily knowing what's going to be happening in the show in the future, so they kind of have to play it by ear as well. But yeah, obviously the comics themselves are not. I usually just consider them they're canon unless the show contradicts them, and the show obviously trumps what anything the comics would say. I mean, there's not obviously just by the way these things are written and the time frame differences between when each of these things are written and when they're either published or premiered. It's going to be next to impossible to have any, to make sure that there's absolutely no continuity differences between the two. So you can't hold the comics against the show if something happened in the comics. Just because.
I'm sorry. As soon as you said that when the show trumps the comics, I just couldn't help but make that comment in the chat room.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think I'll agree with that. I forget someone had said it earlier in chat, but I was kind of expecting to see more of the game itself than we actually got. Although watching it a second time, we did actually were dealing with the game for a good portion of the episode. But the episode actually wound up more focusing on Discord's character. So it wasn't just an episode where, hey, it's a D&D episode and we're gonna have some fun showing the characters playing D&D. It actually wound up being a Discord episode, like a Discord character building episode, where he got a lot of character development during it, and it wound up being that was the focus on the episode, which I thought wound up being really really good, because I like having some character development, and it's good to see that for Discord. And we still got to see a good amount of action and gameplay, especially in the second half of the episode there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I also like to mention that even with not just Discord getting a little bit of extra development, it's also nice to see a little bit more of that Fluttershy herself is also, retaining some of her own character development as well. Especially the fact of her not really being amused. Obviously, hanging out a little bit with Applejack more often there.
Nick seemed to understand the game pretty well. At least it was pretty. I never really played Dungeons and Dragons myself. I've never really done that. But from what I know from pop culture, they represented that game pretty well. I know a lot of people were saying, "Well, Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast. Why didn't they just call it Dungeons and Dragons?" I mean, I guess they could have, but where's the fun? Where's the fun in that? Why would we call something in this fantasy world something the exact same that we already have in ours? I always like good parody names anyway. Plus, I'm not exactly sure what the laws are, because I know that they can't advertise toys during the show, so I'm not sure if there's some sort of cross-promotion law that would have prevented them from doing that anyway.
I also think that it's maybe that they're, and I'm probably just overthinking this as per usual, but I'm also thinking that it could be possible that later on down the line that Hasbro may also lose the Wizards of the Coast brand, and that therefore if this episode airs on TV in the future, it may cost. I don't know.
It's a good point. I mean, I highly doubt that they would, because it's very popular, and it's one of the most successful things. But you raise a really good point that if somehow in the future they do sell the brand or lose it or etc., that might be a legal issue for that episode, for the episode in the future in reruns. So that's actually a good point.
And then, like you said, it could possibly be, again, where, cross-promotional brands are just something that is not something that, they really want. I mean, it would be like Mario or something coming on and saying, buy the new Pokemon game. I mean, Mario and Pokemon are both owned by Nintendo, but Pokemon is basically its own company and is kind of largely developed by Game Freak as it is anyway. So,
plus we get to use the word oubliettes, which is I like. That's a nice word. Well, I guess we know who the dragon is, right?
Actually, I have a another one here by the ever wonderful Toxic Mario. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that in here. Here you all playing Dragons and Dungeons. I brought my own dragon.
Why is that not loading? Oh, that's the one. One of the things I really did like about the episode was actually the ending, because so the entire episode is again focused on these three dudes playing Dungeons and Dragons, which in itself is something kind of new and refreshing for the series to begin with. But when I just like that when the main six return, that Pinky and Rainbow Dash just wanted to go in and participate in this guys' night 0-0 game at the end there, which is just kind of a nice little subtle message, just in terms of gender and whatnot. It's not in your face or shoving some sort of moral in your face. It's just a nice little subtle thing saying that, hey, it's okay for Rainbow Dash and Pinky to come in and join this too. And it was nice seeing them excited to go and kind of change into those different costumes that they had for those characters. And I don't know, for me that little moment at the end really improved the episode a lot right at the end there. So, anything else? Any other points anyone wants to bring up in regards of the story and the writing?
I really can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Seeing if anyone in chat has anything to bring up. I think can't think of anything else but myself. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of this Yakistan trip, or if it's something that we'll see in a future episode, or if it was just the excuse to kind of get Spike and Big Mac on their own in the castle.
To be perfectly honest, there's also possibly, I think there might have been another possible missed opportunity here. Again, it may be, we might get this in the future, like you said, but it would be nice to have seen another synchronous episode where we see the events of the Yakistan trip kind of like in the parallel to the events going on.
You must have lost connection to the chat, because your old Nick is still in the chat, so it's something with your connection must have just shorted out there, DM.
Oh, I thought he was talking to me there for a second.
Oh, no, sorry. I should have specified.
Yeah, we've actually had this issue happen before. With I believe it was. No, it was. It was with you. What?
It just means at some point either your connection reset or you lost connection to the chat server.
Yeah.
So you have to wait for your nickname to time out because the server still thinks that you might be connected.
I was about to say, yeah, I remember it happening to somebody else in our chat room, not just last night, actually.
Yeah, it just has to, it's something that's normal with IRC if you happen to lose connection to the server. Might be on your end or something on the server's end anything on the path to the server. Your old nickel should time out in a couple minutes.
Yeah, give it about 5 minutes. It usually takes around along that time. I mean, I could kick the name, but kicking the name is not going to release it from the server. So
yeah, you have to wait for the server to release it. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to the characters and the characterization of the episode. What does everyone think about the characterization for this episode?
Peter New was probably the best here in terms of some of the characters that he voiced, but I feel that he had another missed opportunity in the sense that Big Mac still really didn't get a lot of chances to really say a whole lot of lines. As far as actual characters go, Discord was, obviously he just stole the show and the spotlight.
I mean,
what do you expect?
I'll say it's in character for Big Mac to not be that talkative, though.
Yeah. I suppose it's true.
It made the little parsnips quip even more funny. Because he did actually say something else other than yep and no. Going on what Mr. Ben kind of said earlier, I did like seeing Fluttershy and Discord's kind of relationship and how and her character development as well, really showing well in the beginning of the episode, where she pretty much has Discord completely on a leash in terms of controlling him and him just kind of very much looking up to her as a friend as well. So even just having her use a little bit of trying to use some like reverse psychology on him at the beginning there, when she's saying that she's going to be leaving.
Big Matt wants to be a Transformer? Oh, wait, you meant unicorn. Okay, I'm sorry. I sort of...
I didn't even notice the typo.
Yeah,
My brain just auto-corrected it. But yeah, even later in the episode, as they're getting ready to leave on the train, when Discord's trying to stop them and pulling his shenanigans, Fluttershy just is not having any of his shit there, and all the interaction between Fluttershy and Discord at the beginning was really great. And of course, having her kind of have her little opposite moment again when Discord makes everything opposite, and having her yelling and then kind of holding her mouth after Discord turned everything back to normal was great. Oh, we already had transforming Pinkie Pie, so why not?
Yeah, that's true. But what was I about to say here? Yeah, like you said, there's actually some of the I loved how the fandom was like just working really like almost overtime. I mean, we've already got a plushie of opposite Fluttershy.
The fandom never stops. 24/7, 365. They could premiere an episode out of nowhere, randomly, unexpectedly, in the middle of the night, and there would be a plushie for it the next fucking day.
At this point, I do not doubt it. But I was about to say, with Big Mac wanting to be a unicorn in the game, this isn't the first time we've actually seen Big Mac wanting, either on a subconscious level on desiring to have a horn. Remember back in The Princess's Dream of Magic Sheep, he dreamt of himself as a winged unicorn.
I think in that episode he started off as just a unicorn, right? When they first encountered Big Mac in his dreams, he just had a unicorn. I mean, he just had a unicorn horn. And then later, when he actually underwent that whole like anime transformation thing, when he realized he's able to do anything in a dream, yeah, that's when he turned into full on Alicorn Big Mac mode there. So I guess canon Big Mac really wants to be a unicorn. He's an earth pony, or a unicorn born into an earth pony's body. Now I'm just imagining Big Mac always bothering Twilight to cast some sort of spell on him to give him a horn.
I just had a thought that about what you just said, but I'm not gonna roll with it here. I'll just
keep that in the fanfics.
I'm just gonna type this here on our own personal private thing here.
Yep, I think by this point it's canon that Big Mac doesn't want to have a horn though. Good night, everybody. Oh boy. It is nice. I guess getting off that topic. It is nice seeing some characters hanging out, some other characters like hanging out and hearing that they regularly hang out. Just like hearing that Big Mac and Spike regularly hang out and play D&D is just a nice little bit of world building. Just breathing more life into those characters, that these characters do hang out outside of what we're seeing in the episodes with the main six and everything, and do their own thing. And here we're just gonna have a little slice of life part with them, and see what they do while the main six are off saving the world. And I hope we get more episodes like that. It was one of always my favorite things about the 100th episode, when we kind of see all these big battles that the main six have from the point of view of the rest of Ponyville.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'd kind of like to see some more, interaction between Big Macintosh and Spike, and I do kind of like how they did mention that, in the show earlier, and I believe that didn't even the comics also make a mention that Spike and Big Mac sort of hang out as well. I mean, this is like one of the few things that this show actually acknowledges from the comics at all.
I'll say that on the subject of the comics, I will say that it's too bad that this episode takes place this season, because if this was a previous season, we might have had an excuse to have Shining Armor in on this as well, because of course this fits his character from the comics so much for a T. And even in the what episode was that? I forget the episode name. It's the one where we first find out that Cadence is pregnant, and Pinkie Pie is trying to keep the secret. And we see his room, and they definitely kind of canonize that kind of geeky nature that Shining Armor does have from the comics in that episode when we see his room there. So it makes sense that he isn't here with them, because leading the Crystal Empire and just having a baby, but I would like to think that he participated in this with them at some point in the past. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't really call it a missed opportunity, because it makes sense that he's not there. This one, it's too bad it kind of worked out like that, because it would have been fun to have him in there as well. Spike was really good in this episode as well. Another sort of Spike-centered episode, even just riding on the heels of last week's Spike episode. And I think he had some good characterization here, both in inviting Discord to come and do stuff with them at all, and then standing up to him at the end and kind of taking him down a peg in terms of how he feels and about his friendships and how lonely, making him actually realize how lonely he actually is, and giving Spike that courage to actually stand up and tell him that stuff, but in the end still forgive him and give him that second chance. I think Spike was portrayed really well in that respect.
I have to agree. I mean, I like how Spike has no qualms about just standing up to Discord at all. I mean, he even tries to interject on at least like 3 separate occasions before he finally puts his foot down about like saying, no, we don't want to go to some, nightclub and dance and, drink and stare at women. We just want to stay home and play our nerdy little game.
Unless Rarity works at that nightclub.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with Tectron. He's definitely shown a lot more maturity this season, growing up from previous seasons. And that's something, of course, we talked about extensively last week with his episode. So it's nice to see that Haber and the writing staff are giving him those opportunities. So how about Discord and his characterization in this episode?
Oh boy.
I was looking up on something, and I was kind of finding this actually to be quite accurate, actually. So Spike's and Discord's roles in the sort of fighter, mage, thief dynamic of the ogres and oubliettes thing, you would expect Spike to possibly be a thief and Discord to be the mage, right? With the Discord having like the massive amount of power and everything. But if you just think about it for a little minute, Spike has grown up with basically a surrogate big sister who's probably the best magician of the era, and likely has a bit of a sister worship when it comes to like magical stuff. Discord, meanwhile, clearly has enough trickster traits to make him fit the thief slot like a glove. And dragons are also strongly associated with arcane magic as well, so
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the point of the episode, especially giving him the archer role, and then he keeps trying to do all these things that he knows he can do personally, but his character can't do, like all the magic and all these other things that he tries to do, and of course he gets really frustrated with the game when thinking this character he's playing is below him and has a hard time getting and projecting himself into said different character. Yeah, there definitely was a lot of Q showing in this episode. I'd agree there. Yeah, we did get a lot of nice character development for Discord here, and kind of get a little bit more of an insight into him personally and how he's doing now, because we know he's sort of reformed. He still is sort of a dick sometimes and a trickster, but he is trying, and he really does enjoy his friendship with Fluttershy. So this episode kind of takes that away from him, and now Fluttershy is gone. The rest of the main 6 is gone, so he isn't like going out and messing with Twilight or anything, and so you kind of get him alone after having this friendship with Fluttershy and being on his own again. And so, having Spike and Big Mac invite him over to do that, and then, everything happens up the way it does up until the end, where Spike's like, well, if you're not enjoying yourself, you just go out. The only reason we invited you here is because we felt sorry for you. And just seeing those words that Spike said just hit him like a brick wall there. Just being, Spike saying, well, we're just, Fluttershy told us how you practically begged her to stay, and then you were just kind of standing there on the platform. So, we felt sorry for you. And then, doing like calling him a weirdo to his face. Like, props to Spike for that. But, and then of course Discord is like he's trying to hide it and be himself, but he's like obviously legitimately pretty hurt by what Spike said in terms of not having any other friends, which is a nice. Character progression from him from previous seasons. Sorry, Mr. Bain, go ahead.
Not a problem. I was just thinking to myself, I hope I wasn't the only one in the chat room to just sort of mentally replace weirdo with dick when when Spike started saying that.
I think that's kind of what Nick was implying, but it's the closest thing they could say. Because that definitely would fit very well.
I mean, if I know it's technically a children's show, so they wouldn't have been able to get away with that. But
I guess you could have said jerk.
But see, if they had, my sides would have just gone straight into orbit. I swear to God. I would have just died laughing. You wouldn't have been able to resurrect me. You wouldn't have been able to revive me. I'm sorry. But yeah, Draconicus Media makes a good point there. It is rated 7 and under, so But like you said, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with with jerk. But
maybe they felt weirdo would have a little bit more punch.
Yeah.
It is nice though in the end though for Discord to come back and admit that they were right and he was being a dick, and actually for once apologize to them after a little struggle to do so. But he actually did apologize to them, and then actually went back and actually enjoyed playing this game, this real version of the game with them. And it's nice seeing him in this episode coming into it just pretty much being friends with Fluttershy. The rest of the main 6, maybe kind of friends with him like we've seen in past episodes, but still not as close as Fluttershy. But it's nice seeing him coming out of this episode having presumably 2 new friends and Spike and Big Mac here, that this is something that he can definitely participate in with them in the future with, and have more people to hang out with other than just Fluttershy. So it's a nice little bit of development for him there as well going forward. Like I said earlier, it was nice seeing at the end of the episode having Pinkie Pie and obviously Rainbow Dash, of course, is going to get in on this and participate in the O&O game with Rainbow Dash kind of being like the thief rogue kind of character in her costume, and Pinkie Pie being more of the what's the word, sort of like a jester, but.
She's a bard.
Bard, yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. So that was nice to see too, and I think that was well picked for those characters there. In a way, Technotron, yeah, I can see where you're coming with that. In a way, but it wasn't really focused on Discord not liking D&D and then getting turned around and liking it. I don't think he doesn't like D&D. He liked the actual well, I guess LARPing that they were doing when he actually created the world, and when it became more like action instead of using your mind and your imagination, as Spike said. And so I still don't know if he necessarily liked the D&D at the end in terms of what it is, but he certainly liked participating in it as if it were real. But more so, it's more focused, less on Discord liking, like the Read and Weave episode was focused on Rainbow not liking something and then her finding she liked it. And here it's more about Discord gaining those friends and learning more about friendships and what it and what it means.
So the question is, did Spike and Big Mac contend to have Discord make the game real the whole time, and they were trying to goad him into doing it?
Yeah. As long as you kind of hold it back a little bit and hold back some of the real pain, it was actually pretty fun. Imagination.
Oh, that's actually a good little reference there. I didn't even notice it until just now, but Equine Episode just posted the image in chat room, and Pinkie Pie's Bard outfit is actually rather similar to Obelix in Asterix and Obelix comics. That's actually a really nice little reference. I mean, I picked up on the other references pretty much immediately. I mean, the funny thing is oh geez, where was it? There was a image of not Spike, but Big Macintosh has the sort of a Dovahkiin one. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to post the DeviantArt link in the chat room. But it was actually made like 4 years before this episode ever came out. And I actually have a similar one here. I'm just going to go ahead and... is it... Yeah, okay. Yeah, and they actually did a reference to the SpongeBob Imagination thing there. So
yeah, there was quite a few things that could or could not have been SpongeBob references in this.
say all we just need now is just Tom Kenny voicing Spike, and we'll be good.
How does a pony use a bow? That's what I want to know. I would like to see Applejack trying to be an archer.
I've actually seen a fan comic, not of Applejack, but I have seen a fan comic of Rarity actually going out to be an archer and utilizing her magic. So
yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, a unicorn definitely could. Heck, maybe even I could see a Pegasus maybe pulling it off with their wings somehow, since they kind of use those as hands sometimes now. But definitely not Applejack. I mean, obviously in friendship games it works because they're humans, but not in the not
maybe
as a
it was a
pony
specially
form.
designed crossbow.
It would have, yeah, I mean, a crossbow, yeah, definitely a crossbow would be able to use, but an actual bow would be interesting to see how they make the mechanics work with a pony. I'd like to see them try. Well, EQG is canon to Friendship is Magic, but they're two different worlds, so something that happens in Equestria Girls doesn't mean it has any effect whatsoever on the world of Equestria unless Twilight's going back and forth. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it. Is, I mean, yeah, they're technically canon, but it's they're separate universes, so they don't really have an effect on one another. So let's see. Anything else for characters and characterizations here from anyone? For any of the characters, any characters we missed?
This really doesn't really fall, I think, under the characterization, because we don't really see her characterization. But I am just going to point this out as sort of a fun fact. But the mayor at the nightclub that we saw with the banana cutie mark. Her official name is, believe it or not, Chiquita Banana.
What?
Yes.
Official in what sense? Because I don't think that's going to be official Hasbro sense.
I don't think so either.
That would be definitely trademark infringement.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But we've had issues with Miss Pamel, earlier in the show.
Yeah, and that's even a different name than her actual full name. So. Yeah.
And like I said, my sources are not like truly canon thus far, but from what I understand, that's the name. It's thus far the placeholder name is kind of what we're going with right at that moment. And I just can't help but find it amusing that okay, yeah, we're already got this this name going on in here.
And I forget her name, but she's actually based on a real woman from that era as well.
I believe so too. Yeah. Actually, I want to look that up now. Actually,
forget the name, but it is definitely another reference to a performer who was known for performing topless with bananas around her. Yes, thank you, Josephine Baker. Thank you. That's what it was. I knew there was like a baker in there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, Josephine Baker.
For some reason, I thought it was Carmen. I couldn't. Okay, I'm thinking of a different Carmen then. Alrighty.
You're thinking of Carmen Miranda, who
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And but she's the one who wore like the fruit basket on her head, or at least that's kind of what she's known for doing.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Carmen Electra, who I almost said. That's a completely different person.
And definitely not to be confused with Carmen Sandiego.
Of course, no one can find her anyway, so. Well, if we're good with that, we can go ahead. We can move on to voice acting on this. So, anything that stuck out for the voice acting? I will say that it was Peter New who voiced the Squizzard, so he did get more lines in the episode than just Big Max.
I was about to say, like I mentioned earlier, Peter New he had just a fun time with this one. You could definitely tell with just how he voiced the Squizzard that I have said this before, and I will continue to say this, but I swear to God, these actors have way too much fun with this show.
It's definitely apparent that everyone who works in this show definitely has a lot of fun making it. And it helps, because if you enjoy what you're doing, then you're going to put more effort into it. Yeah, as always, John DeLance was fantastic in this, but even more so. Some of his lines in this, he really did seem like he was really enjoying voicing Discord here, and after him kind of being in that guest role in season 2 and season 3 coming on as like a regular cast member now, I still find that just mind blowing that he's pretty much a regular cast member on this show with a very important regular character that they made Discord into after his episode in season 3. So I'm really glad that they did that episode in season 3, because it set up so many just great episodes. Regardless of what you think about Keep Calm and Flutter On as an episode itself, it definitely set up so many episode opportunities that we've gotten over the past 3 seasons for just hilarious, great Discord episodes.
It's really funny because I remember recalling that John Delancey only took the role for the paycheck, but then when he realized just how much of a fan following he got simply because of the role, he has just totally embraced it.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a great role written for him too. So being that it's pretty much like being Q. But yeah, he definitely had a lot of fun from just all these different emotions that Discord was going through, and doing all of these different impersonations, and like at the end when he's playing Legolas and stuff, as when he's the archer at the very end of the episode. All of that was just really good, well done, and you definitely could see he was enjoying that. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. I'm assuming he will, because usually I believe. Well, first I believe he tweeted that he's doing 2 this season, but usually since season 3 there's been consistently 2 Discord episodes a season, just focused on Discord. He's appeared in a few other episodes, but he's had 2 of his own episodes, I believe, every season.
Say Kathy Weisluck was also incredible. Like we've mentioned before, the episodes with Spike here in this season have just been. Spike has really just been stepping out of his own shadow effectively, in terms of being far more proactive and far more effective at. Basically just resolving conflicts here. I mean, he's becoming far more competent, and just the fact that Kathy Weisluck is actually just giving him more of a like I said. I mean, the issues with him, especially when standing up to Discord, and then just later on realizing, okay, you know what, we really should give him a second chance here. I mean, no Solo this time around, but I mean, she still did a really good job.
And even with his few lines, I think Peter New as Big Mac is still able to put a lot of emotion and expression behind those single yep and nope lines, especially at those final scenes there when it's him and Spike discussing that. You can infer a lot of things from just his nopes and his yeps there.
And his parsnips.
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 Parsnips. I don't know. I'm just going on what he tweeted about a year ago when he was asked about his episodes. He said he was doing 2, so. So, as with any episode involving Discord, we get to probably the biggest section of them here with humor. So, obviously, this is episode had a lot of humor, and like I said, Nick is definitely just one of the best comedy episode writers that we had, and his humor for Discord here, I believe this is his first episode writing for Discord, so I think he did a really good job. A lot to go up against with last season. We had some really funny Discord episodes last season with What About Discord, and the I forget the name of it, but the one later in the season with him kind of trolling Twilight with what she missed out on there. But so definitely What About Discord was just a hilarious episode. But this one definitely was up there with that one in terms of comedy.
To say, I will just begin with this. I love, with the picture I just posted here, but I love how he just rolls with.
Yeah.
with he with Spike's plan for saving Princess Schmerity. I mean, he obviously just sees right through the
How could you?
Right.
Schmerity, what the fuck, Spike? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously sees right through it, and he's like, he just doesn't even sugarcoat it. He's like, "Fear not, your romantic illusions are safe with me," and just the way he says it too.
And I really like the line delivery from Peter New later when the Squizzard, when he's like, and then Rarity will be my bride, and he's like, I mean Schmerity.
Yeah.
And then just kind of zaps him.
Let's say we've obviously we mentioned the opposite Fluttershy thing where she's like, "Well, guess what, Sassafras? I'm opposite Fluttershy, and I'm sick of being nice and quiet all the time." And
was great.
Immediately after Discord returns things to normal, Fluttershy actually has her front hooves over her mouth, and her eyes are like wide in shock, as if she's like, "Did I really just say that?"
And yeah, I guess going back to the voice, I forgot to mention that in the voice actor part, Andrew Libman busting out that line as Fluttershy was great as well. Of course, and someone already posted this in chat. The sports team kind of entrance reference, almost like Space Jam, with the very almost ready for this sounding backing music there. That scene was just totally unexpected for me. But just like that whole entrance scene from him having all these other Discords like blaring these horns, and you have this really small Discord with this high pitched voice run in to announce him, and then that whole basketball kind of thing was hilarious.
Announcing the much-anticipated arrival of the Spirit of Chaos and Disharmony, the Purveyor of Pandemonium, Lord of Lawlessness, Earl of Turmoil, the Bringer of Bedlam, Discord. I'm sorry.
Not every day you hear John Delancey's voice sped up like that.
Yeah. It was well done.
Say, there was another... Yeah.
Go ahead. This is a Discord, then... well, first off, calling Celestia KK, which is just... I want to hear she probably does not appreciate that. I still find it funny just how he still likes pulling a good troll on Celestia there as well. But then also taking her mane again and putting it on his head as his hair there with the white face and everything, and then taking it off and just kind of petting it as well.
If you listen properly, you'll also hear that the tail that he was in his lap was actually purring like a cat too.
Of course it was.
So, I loved how Spike and Big Mac doing their guys' night cheer and secret hoof shake thing that even Discord gets in on like later in, like near the end of the episode. Yeah. Let's see. Discord also making the list of the rowdiest establishment in Ponyville for guys' night, and then like he unrolls this piece of paper and it's like only got like 2 places on it.
I like this sick burn from Discord as well, where Spike says, "Everyone treats me with the utmost respect," when he's talking about his player character in the game, and Discord responds with, "Just like in real life." Just like this very underhanded like slap to him. It's like sick burn, Discord.
Yeah. I love how like when they also got introduced into the proper game world as well, when Spike and Big Mac are in their specific characters. Spike just sort of offhandedly says to Big Mac, "Should I be worried he's using the scary voice?"
or just before that, they go into the game world there. When I believe when they go back to like the 1940s. Kind of scene there, and when he puts Big Mac in the bubble, and Big Mac's like, "Nope, nope, nope, nope," like a freaking fish out of water.
I actually loved how the fact that they Discord just transported Spike and Big Mac to the 1940s style dance club anyway, and he also apparently transported the O&O game with them, because Spike proceeds to set it up at the first table he sees. Then we have the obvious dogs playing poker's reference, and I have to admit that this actually kind of left me sort of rolling a little bit too. But where was it? Oh, jeez. The beautiful mare of the nightclub that we said, the one, the banana pony. She appears only in one scene, but you'll obviously notice if you look that both Big Mac and Discord find her gaze-worthy, and they have their eyes focused on a very specific area.
They really like this episode's plot.
So, but
I really liked it at the end when the main six come back and all walk in on all of the three of them LARPing in the castle there, and Twilight's just kind of like, we should just close the door and let them finish whatever this is. The line delivery from Tara there was so good.
You think Twilight, being an adorable nerd, would already know what that game is?
There's a difference between being a dork and a nerd. I guess that's it.
I'm going to say, Draconicless Media posted the image in chat a little earlier, but the fact that, well, let me just, where was it here? I must have closed out the tab. But the fact that Rainbow Dash just gets excited, and when she says, have you seen the size of Big Mac's sword? And, that's not an innuendo, right? It's just the fact that Big Macintosh's avatar is even named Sir McBiggin. That can't that can't possibly imply anything. Bonus points for the fact that that Mac was even sitting in Rainbow Dash's throne at the table to begin with. So
ship it, everyone. You ship everything else.
And then there's also, the possible hinting that, Spike and Big Mac are always getting up to something whenever the others are away. I have no idea what you're talking about, and if I did, I certainly wouldn't be allowed to discuss it with you girls.
Spike, that's sexist, Spike. Come on. That's totally something that someone Spike's age would say, though. Look at that face. That Big Mac face. Oh my god.
Context is for the weak.
Oh.
Applejack, that's my brother you're talking about. You have to whoop Rainbow Dash. See the moving to the animation and the visuals. There's obviously a lot of visual references and gags as well as always with Discord episodes. I think one of the interesting things about this episode is usually Discord episodes have a lot of like real world references in them. They always have a lot of references in them. This one really didn't have that many for a Discord episode. Obviously it had the main one being Dungeons and Dragons and all of the references that come out of that. But other than that, this wasn't just an episode filled with other pop culture references. It actually had some comedy that was based on the episode at hand as well, which was nice. Just first of all of Fluttershy's faces at the beginning of the episode when she's with Discord, she makes all of these just great faces when she's annoyed or when she's trying to use the reverse psychology on him, and she makes this really almost seductive face for it. And then she also seems to be taking some eyebrow lessons from Applejack in terms of after the scene where Discord creates that volcano. She has a little eyebrow action. Oh my god, that Discord face. That was so great. That was just the perfect overreaction to finding out that they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Oh.
I didn't even notice the animation error there either.
Discord's looking right at it. He's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. That's a good little point out. Yeah, he is looking right at it. Hell, Big Macintosh is looking right down at it practically. Although I don't think he's looking specifically at it. But
Maybe Discord caused it.
actually, if you look at it, I know they're all supposed to be looking like right at Spike, but if you kind of adjust their viewpoints, it looked like they could almost be focusing right on the circle as well. All four of them.
Yeah, it's kind of it's right behind Spike there. Of course, at the end of the episode, we have Discord kind of dressed up as Legolas from Lord of the Rings, as well as the Archer, which was absolutely hilarious, mixed in with John Delancey's voice acting at the end there.
Yeah, Discord as Legolas is a nice little suggestion there as well.
Also, Spikes gave a die some wings in the scene, in one of the scenes as well. It's like, thanks, M.A. Spike.
I was about to say, I cast M.A. Larson.
It's the most deadly of spells. It causes waves of phantom tears. All of the end game scenes were done really well, with all like the kind of the paper cardboard cutouts of all the characters and skeletons and stuff, and I really liked just the feel of those scenes, because it really did it didn't like transport them into the world directly. They kind of just made the game board come alive and played on that, which I liked how they went with that. And of course, all the design, from the character designs to the location design, when they get transported back to the 1940s club scene, there was really well done. You know, right down to Discord's zoot suit. Some nice designs there. And all the character designs too, when they're in the game world, from Spike's wizard, obviously like a wizard, almost like from inspired from Lord of the Rings or other thing, and then in Big Mac's. Sorry, someone already had posted an image with like all the references from the costumes there, but all those costumes were designed really well, even down to like Pinky and Rainbow Dash's costume, who we only see very briefly at the end of the episode. Oops. Again, chat updates. So, anything else with the animation or visuals or humor that we missed? That anyone wants to point out?
No, I think we pretty much covered. I mean, I really can't say much of anything else. It was very well done.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely has some Skyrim kind of influences on it. I still can't believe we got like this Dungeon and Dragons like mythology based episode on freaking My Little Pony. Yeah, of course. Discord's name Sir was. He really enjoyed that. Okay, so we can move on to the next category here, which is the score and the backing music for the episode. So, obviously, with this dealing with some like Dungeons and Dragons action adventure kind of stuff, we get a lot of that action and adventure score, like we've gotten in episodes like Spike's first episode this season, Gauntlet of Fire. So a lot of similarities to the score in that. This episode also has a lot of other very varied score from it. The whole second half is mainly that very action adventure and medieval sort of score. But we start out with some other different things, which is nice. I don't know. Let me see. Might have lost connection to the to Pony Chat there. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we start off the episode in the little cold open there with Fluttershy and Discord, and we go through actually quite a few like different little styles of motifs here. We get I believe we get a little foreshadowing to the jazz score later in the episode. We get a little bit of Discord score. Of course, you get that whole Chaos World score, and we also get a lot of really, really nice woodwind orchestral music for Fluttershy as well, which is probably the most enjoyable part about this first track here for me from the episode's opening. There's that little jazz foreshadowing there. A little bit of Spanish music there as well.
What you're saying is no tea. Well, that's fine. I wasn't thirsty anyway.
There's a little bit of Fluttershy's score there. Of course, the discordant opposite world score there. Now we end with some more woodwinds for Fluttershy. So then, after the opening of the show, there we go to the train platform where all the main six are leaving. We have a really nice. I really like the score behind this scene here. This episode opens with a lot of really nice new score for the show that kind of fades into the background, but it's really nice to listen to on its own. So here's the score from the train platform scene. lot of kind of orchestral music to start out this episode. From there, we go to the scene with Discord and kind of playing a businessman role, and answering phone calls saying that he's going to be going to this guy's night thing. So we have this very kind of up-tempo, businessy like backing score for this scene here. Nice little track there for that scene there. I really enjoyed that one. From there, we get to Discord's introduction, his entrance scene in the castle. So we get this little piece, which is just, along with the scene, just completely out of left field and unexpected. But I guess for a Discord episode, you kind of have to expect the unexpected in those episodes. So this is, kind of a little parody of all the 90s intro music to like sports teams as they run off. More specifically, the "Y'all Ready for This" song, which from a lot of movies and sports teams that use that, particularly Space Jam, which I think a lot of people are taking this as a reference to, being that it's also basketball in terms of what Discord's doing on screen. But this is just kind of a parody of specifically that song and all these other 90s, early 90s sports team walk-in, introduction kind of songs here. So really, one of those things is obviously really short, but it's still really fun to listen to. One of those things that you wish was a little longer, but it fits the scene really, really well. And just adds to the variety of score that this episode has. So, am I missing? I feel like I'm missing things that are being said in chat. I guess not. Okay. Well, the next thing. From there, we actually get into the game itself in the episode, and from there, the score also shifts more to this orchestral, epic nature of orchestration for the game itself. So we start off with the score for when Spike is introducing the game to Discord here. This track here introduces us to all the motifs that are going to be used throughout the episode representing the game. It starts off with a very epic-sounding adventure score like what we heard in A Goblet of Fire as well, that represents the game and the game world. And as Spike then starts talking about his characters, his character and Big Mac's character in the game, the score has this little bit more medieval nature to it for the characters. So these two themes we'll hear again throughout the episode. It also ends on a very nice other piece of composition, another piece of score at the end, which is really, really nice as well, as Spike is introducing the game. Now this track is actually spliced together from a lot of musical cues throughout this scene. It's a very long scene, and Discord constantly interrupts Spike throughout the scene, as you know, and the music stops along with it. So kind of a little bit of a challenge to stitch back all the music together from this entire scene back into this 1 minute track that you can kind of listen consistently through without all of these gaps. So here's that track, and you'll hear all these motifs that we'll hear throughout the rest of the episode. Here's the more medieval score. And then we end with this piece. Very kind of grand ending to that track in the score. From there, Discord isn't having anything of this game and wants to go to something real guys' night. So we get he transports us to this 1940s-esque dance club with this just awesome backing score, this bebop jazz backing score. And jazz is something that has really become more and more been heard more and more in the series over the past couple seasons, starting with like Rarity Investigates back last season, where that whole episode had all of that jazz noir all throughout that episode. And then we've heard it in various episodes since then, and of course the Pinkie Pie's Pinkie's Present song in the musical episode this season, Heart's Warming Tale. That was also some like New Orleans jazz for that song. So it's something we've heard a lot more of, which I definitely like, because I really like jazz music. So here we have this bebop jazz with a really cool saxophone solo in the middle of it for this scene. And it's really, really fun to listen to this track without all of the dialogue and the room noise and everything kind of drowning it out, because it's some really nice work here from William Anderson here. Here's the solo. So just like the that kind of the Yo Ready for This parody earlier is another one of those very unexpected scenes and unexpected pieces of score for the episode. You're definitely going in expecting the epic medieval, orchestrated score for Dungeons and Dragons, for the Ogres and Oblettes game that they're playing. But all these other score is really, really nice to see, and adds some nice variety to the soundtrack to the episode. From there, we get some more stuff when Discord actually transported in the game. So we get some more action adventure score using those motifs that we heard earlier in the episode there. So this is from when they're actually in the game fighting the Squizzard and his minions. The Discord's motif in there too. There's a little bit more of Discord's score that we hear from all the way back in season 2 for him. Discord has a couple different pieces of score, a couple of different themes that he has depending on the mood he's in, that we've heard for him going all the way back to his introduction in the season 2. So that little drop there at the end of that track was his more mischievous theme. So you will hear this like in a lot of scenes, like when at the season 4 premiere, when he says, "I'm gonna have to get some more popcorn," we hear it from them too. That's kind of when he's being more of a trickster and a jokester rather than downright kind of evil or anything like that. So we got a couple more tracks. This next one is kind of his redemption for the episode, him, realizing he's wrong and apologizing to them. So we get like a lot of very melodramatic score here that we've heard from the series before. And then after Spike and them give him the other chance, and the main 6 are kind of walking back to the castle and find them all getting along, we get the Magic of Friendship motif also dropped here, which is a good use for it in this episode. Not only because it's Spike and Big Mac extending their friendship to Discord and him making a new friend, but also because the second time that the second episode in which this motif was used after Magic Duel in season 3 was Make New Friends but Keep the Keep Calm and Flutter On episode for his reformation in season 3 as well. It was used at the end of that episode when he was kind of accepted, his reformation and Fluttershy's friendship at the end of that episode. So its use here is quite novel as well. We go into the Magic of Friendship theme just after this part here. Here it is. And from there, the episode then, of course, ends with the main 6 walking in on them, all doing their role playing there, and Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash joining in. So we have one more drop of all of the action motifs from this episode to lead us out to the very grand finale as if we cut to black in the credits. And that's how it ends. So, yeah, another episode with some great score. All the episodes that have a lot of action and adventure, like this one, or the Gauntlet of Fire episode, always gives the music a little bit more room to shine. Where episodes that are more character driven or dialogue heavy, the music sometimes pushed more to the background and just has a little bit more of the supporting music that really isn't much to listen to on its own because it's just supporting the dialogue. So you definitely get a lot of varied score in this, from the very epic nature of the music for the game itself to the bebop jazz score for Discord's game. What's the word? The dance club scene, to some great orchestrated music at the beginning for Fluttershy and a bunch of other things. So it's definitely definitely a very great episode to listen to in terms of the score, and it's nice hearing more of these action scores and stuff in the series as well, and it fits the whole feel of the episode nicely. So with that, I'll hand it off to Mr. Ben here for the theme and the moral of the episode.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a weirdo.
Yeah. Don't be a Discord.
Don't be. There we go. Don't be a Discord. Dipcord. I still can't believe they got away with Rainbow Dash calling him Dipcord in that one episode. But yes, it's a good episode, character episode for Discord and learning about. I don't really know if there is a. I'm trying to think of what the actual, if we're gonna put the theme or the moral in like a saying, what it would be. Because I mean, this episode really is about Discord expanding as a character, and him, going out there and gaining new friends, because it's all about him being lonely. When Fluttershy's away, now that he's really starting to grow accustomed to friendship and what it means. I mean, I really guess there's some different small morals in here about sometimes you don't want to judge games like Dungeons and Dragons for cover. I mean, they might actually be real fun, and you might actually have fun playing them, and you shouldn't knock it until you try it. And of course, like I said, there's that little kind of a nice little thing in there with Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash joining in at the end, saying, these games are for everyone. It's not, even though this episode's kind of been all focused on guys' night and stuff, girls, women, like Rainbow Dash or Pinkie Pie, definitely could be into this kind of stuff too, and enjoy playing it along with them. So. I don't know, maybe, but I think the issue with the parsnip spell there is that Discord absolutely had no ability to cast it in the first place. So the dice roll in the end really didn't matter because he didn't have the ability to cast magic. Because I think that's kind of what Spike was saying, where it's like, you don't have the ability to cast magic. And he's like, I do it anyway. And Spike rolls the dice, well, no matter what, you're going to fail because you don't have the ability to cast magic. I think that's kind of what that's all about. Yeah, there's some sort of moral in there about being self-centered as well, because Discord is definitely, when Spike kind of calls him out and says, we only invited you here because we felt sorry for you, and Discord's like, what, me? I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to be feeling sorry for you that you're playing this game, and in the end, they were the ones that actually felt sorry for him because he didn't have any other friends or anything else to do. That is the weirdest image I might have ever seen, Mr. Ben. What? It doesn't even make any sense.
I just don't know.
There's a horse, some cats.
What? A unicorn.
Unicorn jumping over a rainbow surrounded by stars with Tim's on the bottom. And our CQ catchphrase like right there in the little I don't know. I was just doing a just random image search, and that was just like one of the things that came up. And I was like, I can't believe I never found this earlier.
Wow. I guess the true moral for this episode is definitely LARPing is magic. So everyone go LARP some more. So everyone's favorite parts, any concerns for the episode? CQ coloring book, yes. Brilliant.
I don't really have any favorite parts, and that's only just because of the fact that there's just way too many on this episode to really list.
Definitely.
If I really had to say what my favorite part is, I'd probably have to really just cop out and say the whole fucking episode.
Same here, probably.
I mean, this is obviously going like right at the. I wouldn't really say maybe overall. I mean, it's definitely up there near the top. But as far as season 6 is concerned, this easily tops the favorite episode list of season 6.
For me, I would say just overall the characterization in this episode was really, really well done, and I liked it from, like we talked about with Fluttershy and her characterization at the beginning to Spike's characterization, especially closer to the end. And then just Discord's character growth here, and having an episode here where Discord's actually growing a lot as a character as well and having a lot of character development. I really liked that of the episode. And of course, all the humor. If I had to pick out one thing, it would probably be the whole "yo, ready for this" Discord, basketball entrance moment, because it was so unexpected and it clashes so much with the entrance directly before it, where he has all the these Discords playing horns and this very regal medieval opening dialogue to that. It just contrasts so wonderfully with it. So overall feelings, conclusions, final thoughts about the episode?
Once again, Discord and John Delancey just steal it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, stole the show and the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, I still can't believe that we got an episode like this at all, with Dungeons and Dragons and focusing just on some just some male characters of the show is something that's very out of the ordinary, but cool to see the show attempt.
Let's say I'd like to. I know I mentioned this before, in that I like to see episodes that focus more on the supporting cast, and I'm glad that we got that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and this show has such a big supporting cast in terms of not just background characters, but supporting characters that we see a lot, but aren't part of the real main cast, like Shirley or Big Mac and stuff like that. So, this show going forward just does have a lot of opportunities outside the main 6 for stories, and I'm really glad to see them continuing to take more of those opportunities to have episodes, that may not even have the main 6 in it for most of it.
Kind of wish we actually get more of these, to be honest.
I'm not sure where this stands. I don't usually like ranking things. I don't know if I would call this the best Discord episode or not. It's really hard to top the What About Discord episode from last season with the smooths and everything. That one was absolutely hilarious. But I still stand by what I said, that I really think Nick Hofalon is the best comedy writer that this overall that the series has had. All of his episodes have just been fantastic and hilarious. I mean Schmerity. Such great line delivery there from Peter New. Not really any other voice actors in this episode, though, outside the main 6. Not really any other characters that had vocal roles. So it's kind of a little contrast to some of the past episodes where we've had a lot of cast in it. This one was a little bit more subdued in terms of the length of the cast list compared to some of the previous episodes this season. Well, with that, that brings us to the end here. So I think we hit on all the points a little bit quicker this week with this episode, but as is the norm for more comedy episodes. At least we did get a lot of good Discord characterization and character development in it. So so thank you all for joining us this week for Equine Episode Examination for Dungeons and Discords. This weekend, another new episode again of MLP as we chug very quickly towards the end of the season 6 already. This episode is
Buckball season.
Buckball. I almost said hoofball. I was like hoofball. I know it was like hoofball. Yeah. So Buckball season is this weekend's episode. So some sort of sports themed episode coming up this weekend. So we'll be watching that live here at 11:30 a.m. this weekend and discussing it then. And next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, as per normal, we'll be discussing that here on Triple E next week. So make sure to stop on by next week at 5 p.m. here for Equine Episode Examination as we discuss that. As always, if you want to discuss this episode farther or if you forgot something about it, we have our Discourse forums, which are linked on the front page, where we do have topics discussing this episode and past episodes and future episodes in our spoiler forum as well as a lot of other topics. So if you feel the need to discuss anything farther or want to lay your comments out for all to see permanently on a plaque, make sure to check out the links to our discussion forums linked on the sidebar of our front page. And as always, we do have our Equine Episode Examination archives up. We do have most of the episodes all the way back to our Season 3 flashback episodes, all the way back to, I think, the latest episode we have on there right now is our Season 5 recap. So we still got some Season 5 episodes to upload, but we're slowly getting those backlog of archived episodes on there. So if you ever want to rewatch a previous episode, or if you missed an episode and want to watch it, check out the archives page. Just go to the shows tab up in the nav bar, go down to Equine Episode Examination, and then click archives, and you'll see all of the episodes listed there, and you can rewatch them. Of course, they're all on YouTube as well, so you can subscribe to CinemaQuestria on YouTube and check out the Equine Episode Examination playlists on there to watch them as well. This one will begin processing as soon as we stop the stream here, and it should be up later tonight, early tomorrow, depending on how long the processing takes on YouTube. So if you missed the episode and you want to sit back and watch what we discussed, you can do that. We even have discuss comments under the video on the archive page as well if you want to leave your thoughts on there. So with that, we'll see you next week for Buckball season here on Equine Episode Examination.